Here's a periodic table poster. I put this up in your classroom. You got huge pictures of all the elements. It's pretty nice, but it's kind of flat. I made these placemats. The kids love these things. You can buy them in science museums all over the place. Big pictures, stories on the back, but again, kind of flat. Could do better. So this is a 3D version of that placemat. It's a lenticular 3D print. Everything kind of pops off the page. This is getting pretty nice. It's three-dimensional. That's good, but it's kind of small. Next thing I did was this book. This is a really nice book. It's published by Black Dog and Leventhal. You can find it in bookstores everywhere, and it is a picture book of the elements. You've got every element gets its own page, well, 2 pages, big pictures, small pictures, lots of objects. All this stuff here is in, all the stuff in my office is in the book, like bismuth. You've got, here's the real thing, here's the picture of it. It's a nice picture, but, you know, it's still flat. And what about the other side? The other side's pretty interesting too. So I'm excited now to be able to show you what I think is absolutely the best thing yet in terms of communicating to people what makes this interesting. And that is the Apple iPad version of this Elements book. Let's start it up here. So this is basically an eBook, and in the sense that it's an electronic version of that book. But it's not like any eBook that you've seen before. It's not just sort of an electronic version of paper that's kind of, you know, stuck on the screen somehow. Instead, it's really taking advantage of this new medium. So for example, you see here the periodic table, but it's a periodic table where everything is rotating. All these objects are turning around so you can see them from all different sides. In particular, like the bismuth crystals right there. Let's go look at that. So we click on it here, and here we've got a huge, filling up the whole screen version of this crystal, and you can see the back side of it, which you couldn't see before. And we got a bunch of other things too. You see these pages, looks pretty much like the paper book. It's the same nicely composed page. It's got the same objects on it, and they're kind of arranged, and they look good. But these are all not just pictures, these are sort of magical versions, because I can take them and spin them, every one of these, at the same time. I can take a couple of fingers and take 2 of these and independently rotate each one. I can take all of my fingers, I can kind of wipe them all, get them all spinning. This is the magic of multi-touch technology. And let's see just how close I can get to showing you what this object looks like in reality. Double tap on it here. And now we get it big, full screen. That's good. It's actually almost life size. But I can do even better than that. I can tap here, and now I've got a stereo 3D version of this object, which I can rotate with my finger. And using a pair of these inexpensive 3D glasses, which you can buy from our website, you can actually look at this, and wow, it pops off the screen in actual live 3D, which I can control with my finger while I'm looking at it in 3D. And I think it's fair to say that is about as close as you can get in terms of a virtual object to the real thing. You know, I can't give you the weight of it, although iPad weighs about as much as this thing. I can't give you the texture, but you know, a 3D object that you can pick up and rotate fluidly under your finger, I think that's about as close as you can get. Let's look at a few other things that this ebook does. So you've got these pages, and you can, let's go back to the home page and pick another element. Let's pick copper. It's one of my favorites. Again, we get the nice, big, beautiful thing. And you see the data here. We've got this interesting data. The same physical properties and such are in the printed book too. But here, we can actually go much farther because this book includes an embedded version of the Wolfram Alpha computational knowledge engine, as it's called. Let's click here and see what does Alpha know about copper. And it turns out Alpha knows a lot about copper. These are all sorts of properties way beyond what's in the printed version of the book. And even for some of the properties that you might think are in here, like melting point, let's look at melting point, it tells us a bunch more, not just what it is in Celsius, but in all sorts of different units. What color does it look like if you have something at that temperature, glowing at the temperature of molten copper? Lots of fascinating stuff in the background. And of course, for each element, there's the second page where we have these virtual objects, including this lovely rotatable dragon that you can see the real thing, you can see the 3D version of it, you can see the stereo 3D version. Let's go take a look at how we actually create these objects. So we're going to give you a little tour now of the studio where we produce these three-dimensional rotations. We're here in our basement studio to learn a little bit about how we make the rotations that go into the Elements ebook. This is a shelf full of sort of random elements awaiting photography. There's a silicon wool there, there's some mints that have titanium dioxide in the white parts. There's a radium ore revigator down there. There's a titanium turbine blade from the Concorde. There's even serial number 25 Next Cube that I used to work on many years ago. That is, of course, a magnesium sample. And over here we have a sample of element photographers. This is Nick Mann, who's responsible for most of the images that you see in the ebook.
Yes, so we use a high-end professional camera to take the photos with a top-of-the-line macro lens. We photograph them on a turntable as they move around. We use a remote control to do the time lapse. We take one image every second. 15 megapixels per image. It comes out to about 2 gigabytes of raw source files per object.
This is the turntable that we use for doing these rotations. Unlike the standard commercially available VR turntables, this one is precision made by me out of solid brass. And it's designed more than anything else for precision, stability, and smoothness. So now that you've seen how we make the 3D objects, let me tell you a bit about the text, because this is not just about the 3D objects. Every element has got this little story about it, and I worked hard on putting a lot of interesting facts and things in here. There's also nice navigation. So here we're reading about copper, and it mentions gold. Well, tap on gold, and now we can read all about gold. See this beautiful rotatable thing here. Go back to the main page about gold. And one of the nice things about gold is that people always ask, well, what does it cost? What is the current price of gold? That's one of the things that Alpha will tell you. If we click here, we get, the reason it takes a minute is because it's actually getting this stuff. And here is the current market price of gold, gotten from whatever market gold is traded on. So I hope you've seen, some of the things that makes this different from a paper book, different from a typical ebook. It's a very rich app. It has a lot of stuff in it. And let me show you one last little thing. If we go back to the home page here, and I'm going to play it for you here, and we'll then leave you with this.
There's antimony, arsenic, aluminum, selenium, and hydrogen, and oxygen, and nitrogen, and rhenium, and nickel, neodymium, neptunium, germanium, and iron, americium, ruthenium, uranium, europium, zirconium, lutetium, vanadium, and lanthanum, and osmium, and astatine, and radium, and gold, protactinium, and indium, and gallium, and iodine, and thorium, and thulium, and thallium. There's yttrium, ytterbium, actinium, rubidium, and boron, gadolinium, niobium, iridium, and strontium, and silicon, and silver, and samarium, and bismuth, bromine, lithium, beryllium, and barium.